Today on Beyond. Lights, camera, ghosts?
We recorded a sort of pea pod looking light. It looked like an object with 3 little cotton balls in it, and it actually traveled throughout the frame, and it disappeared for a frame, actually blinked out for a frame, and one object actually entered her head.
Are these really ghosts caught on tape? You have to see it to believe it. Plus, football was the highlight of his young life until it took him down. Will James be able to find out what happened at that fateful game? Today on Beyond. Using his extraordinary psychic ability to communicate with spirits, he's transformed lives by unlocking mysteries and sharing secrets from the other side. James Van Praagh, best-selling author, renowned medium, and your connection to the world beyond.
Welcome to the show. Before we get to the readings, I want to share this story with you. One hit during a high school football game ended the life of a young man and left his family, coach, and friends stunned on the sidelines. They wanted one last chance to say goodbye, and I wanted to help them with it. Let's take a look.
I was fortunate enough to know Matt for 4 years, and we came very close, probably as close to a father-son relationship as you can have with one of your players.
Matthew was full of life. He was fun. He was intelligent. He was very, very sensitive, very thoughtful. He was a good football player. He loved football. He loved football. He was in the game for maybe about 12 plays.
He ran by me and said, "Coach, I need to get somebody in for me. I just don't feel right."
His hands were convulsing, and he told the coach that they needed to send somebody else in because he felt wrong. And then he slowly just deteriorated, lost consciousness, and stopped breathing, and he died. He apparently had sustained multiple injuries to his brain, and so he never came back. It's been unbelievably difficult. It's impossible to put into words how painful it's been. I would like him to know that I will do what I can to make him proud until I can come and be with him again. And I want to thank him for picking me as his mom.
First of all, I'm going to tell you that you've come as a group to contact your boy has passed over, yes?
Right.
He's your son?
He was one of my football players.
Oh, he's a football player. And you're the coach?
Yes.
Okay. And you were also his counselor?
Yeah.
Because most likely you kept himself going and his head straight and doing things the right way.
We had a lot of conversations.
Yeah, and I like that. I love that. And you know him as well. And I don't know why, but there's girls around you, so you must have, I don't know if you have daughters around you?
I have all sisters.
Oh, you have sisters. It's all female energies around you. Mm-hmm. He's laughing, and he's making a joke out of this whole situation here. And he's like, you know, like, leave it to you guys to come to something like this. Did you guys ever go to the beach with him?
Yeah, we took him once because we're really into going a lot.
Surfing and stuff?
Yeah, and we tried to get him into it.
Well, he's talking about the beach. And he's talking about, don't be afraid of him, because he's playing with you sometimes.
Okay.
He's playing with you sometimes, goofing with you sometimes. They've always called her crazy. They've always called my mom crazy. Everyone has always thought my mom's crazy.
Right.
She was younger. They always used to think she was crazy.
Yes, they did.
And he's telling me, tell you you're not crazy.
Oh, thank you.
He says eccentric, but not crazy. And he wants to thank you for being a father to him. And even though you weren't, you were, okay? And he's very proud of you. And he's very proud of you. And you know, it's so funny because you used to say to everyone, I'm really proud of him. But you know what he's saying? He's proud of you. Okay? And there's a Paul also.
Paul Truxell.
Oh.
Who's that?
That's the male figure that he's with.
Okay. He's a spirit.
He was a coach.
Well, Paul's
at,
saying hi, and Paul has him, and he's holding me, showing me, holding him with his hands on Matt's shoulders, and he's behind him and saying, I'm taking care of him. You got to chill on that. That's what he's saying to me. I'm taking care of him.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a quilt also, or some kind of a blanket thing.
Oh, his blanket from his bed.
Yeah, it must be at the bed and what? Foot of your bed now.
Yeah.
Because it's at the foot of your bed where you sleep. He sits on the end of the bed on the blanket.
Cool.
That's neat.
He loves his dad. You know, he loves his dad. And there's a separation there, though, between you and his father that he talks to me about. And he said, you know, he wants to, he sees things very differently, though, with his dad. And he loves him for who he is.
Oh, good.
And I got to tell you that.
Oh, good.
I love you all. He loves you all. And this man behind him is taking care of him, and he wants to say hello to you all, too. And in good hands. He's in good hands. Okay? God bless.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we allowed to hug you?
You can hug, of course you can hug me. Are you kidding? Sure.
The things that he talked about were just so absolutely right on that it was incredible.
And he wants to thank you for being a father to him.
I'd always felt that way, but you know, Matt, I'd never actually talked about that type of situation. For him to validate that with me made me feel very good about our relationship.
I don't know if there was a quilt also, or some kind of a blanket.
The night that he was hospitalized, the night that he passed, I went home and I got the blanket, and I brought the blanket and I brought it back to the hospital, and it was on his bed.
And he's telling me, tell you you're not crazy.
It's like an affirmation. Okay, I'm not crazy.
He loves his dad.
They did not have a close relationship. I'm happy to be able to tell his father that Matt forgives him and that Matt loves him, and that it's real important that he know that. That makes me feel really, really good, and that's just like my son. This will be a nice thing to be able to look back on and gather strength from, and as a firm reminder that it's okay.
Still to come,
Because in life they couldn't get along really well.
what will James reveal about this family feud? Plus, it could be any ordinary house until you get inside.
People unknowingly go to the Whaley House thinking they're just going to go there to take pictures of the woodwork and the antiques. They come back with ghosts on camera.
Is this really a ghost? Find out next on Beyond.
Take a look at this video. It looks like a leaky roof or a broken pipe, right? But it's not. I'm told it's actual blood. Joining us to explain this is the director of the documentary, California's Most Haunted. Everyone, please welcome Barry Conrad to the show.
Hey, Barry. Thank you very much. Nice to meet you.
Now, let me just get this straight. Barry, the stories in this documentary are actually true. They're real hauntings, real paranormal activity.
Yeah, they're real hauntings. You know, I've always thought California is such a fantastic state. And I always thought, what kind of hauntings would be here that we could document in a one-hour show?
How did you get involved, like, initially in this sort of business? Because this is something you really just go right into.
Yeah, actually, James, it really started when I was 10 years old. I grew up in Hamilton, Ohio, a little town back in the Midwest. My mother received a call one day from her girlfriend. She said that she had just bought a house in the country, an old farmhouse. And she said that things were happening. Objects were moving around.
It's pretty strange.
They would smell smoke.
I love it. Yeah. Come on, give me more, give me more.
They would smell smoke, but there was no source for the smoke. So they did some research and found out 100 years before that, there used to be another house, farmhouse. It had burned to the ground, and a boy died in that very room.
Unbelievable. I bet you have tons of stories. But this first one we're going to see, you actually documented this yourself.
Yeah, basically, in 1989, there was a young woman, single mom. Her name was Jackie Hernandez. She was living in this little bungalow in San Pedro, California. And she said that strange things started happening there. There was apparitions of an old man, almost corpse-like looking, that appeared in the children's bedroom. She also said she saw a disembodied head in the attic, enough to give anybody creeps. So we decided to go down and check it out, and we saw a lot of strange things there.
Yeah, like, for example, was that actual blood we just saw?
Actually, it was taken to a lab by Dr. Taff. He used to be a parapsychologist. It worked with the UCLA parapsychology lab, I should say.
Let's see that blood one more time. Let's get a nice close-up on it.
Unbelievable.
The first night we were at the Hernandez house, Jackie told us about some viscous liquid dripping and oozing from various parts of the house. But we took some of the, I guess, liquid ooze, for lack of a better term, back to a lab to have it analyzed. Upon analysis, It was determined this was human blood plasma with a high copper and iodine content, and it was from male blood.
Now, did you ever experience anything like this before?
I've never, ever experienced anything like this before, but you know, this blood plasma oozing from the walls, as far as I can remember, was supposedly documented, or I don't know about documented, but it was reported at least, in the Amityville case, which some people say was a hoax and other people say was real.
That's right, I've heard both those arguments.
So I really don't know what to say. I wasn't there.
So the movie The Amityville Horror, this is something that...
It was, it depicted blood plasma, or not blood
Supposedly
plasma,
had this
but blood,
experience
yeah.
in there, in the Amityville.
Wow.
Right.
So what other strange phenomenon happened in this house?
Well, I think one of the best pieces of evidence that we gathered during the San Pedro haunting was the evidence of orbs of light. And not only do we get these on still pictures that Jackie Hernandez, the lady who was the victim of the haunting, took, but we got them in real-time video. And we also got them going into this woman's head.
Okay.
Take a look at this.
Wow.
Take a look at this. Wait till you see this.
Okay.
We recorded a sort of pea pod looking light. It looked like an object with 3 little cotton balls in it, and it actually traveled throughout the frame, and it disappeared for a frame, actually blinked out for a frame, and one object actually entered her head.
Barry didn't show me this film footage right away. He took him a while before I finally got to see it. It was a very weird feeling, you know, when I saw that film, and it still is every time I look at it.
Now, that looked to me like sort of pin lights or maybe some fireflies, could be
Right.
bugs, maybe a problem with your camera.
Right. Well, actually, I know when I first saw these objects, I was at a loss to explain what they were. But being a cameraman, I knew there was something very strange going on here. Because for one thing, whenever this phenomena was taking place, or wherever it was taking place, these objects kept popping up. The other thing is that these orbs of light would show up on camera, even if we had a bright light.
So you're saying
on the
those are
camera.
spirits? You're saying these orbs of lights are spirits?
I
What are
don't
you
know.
saying they are?
No, I don't know. I like James to talk about that.
I would ask you, is the girl that you were working with there, is she very psychic or very intuitive? Because usually we'll see this activity when a person is that way.
She did seem to be very intuitive, James. She almost always had this, you know, like a knowledge of when it was around. And sure enough, things would happen.
Now, did anybody analyze this?
Yes, actually, Dr. James Robin, who's a physicist with Rockwell International, took a look at this footage. And we could not explain any of it, neither could the lab. And also, I might mention that these objects are very smooth in their trajectories, and they fly faster than any insect I've ever seen.
You know, Barry, also, I want to tell you this, and Lisa also, many people have experiences where they have lights coming out of the side over here, the peripheral vision, and they'll see lights, and we call those spirit lights. It's very much the same thing. And I guess it's spirit's way of coming through in many ways.
Okay, Barry, let's get to the last image because we're running out of time. I saw this last one. I don't know if you saw
haven't
this.
seen
This is a
this.
surprise for you, but it's very strange.
I've heard of the Whaley
It's
House.
very weird.
Well, I
Can you
think
tell us about this last
I
one?
think a lot of people have heard of this place. This is the Whaley House. It's in San Diego, California. It's in Old Town, and actually the public can actually go to this house and visit it. But what the public may not know is that this house may be one of the most haunted houses in the West.
Look at that.
Well,
Oh
that's
my
actually, this is the face. It was caught
the
in a
lips.
headboard by a photographer who was a tourist. Actually, it was not really a professional photographer, but a lady who was there with her camera. And what I might mention here is that not only this picture, but there are literally hundreds and hundreds of photographs that people unknowingly go to the Whaley House thinking they're just going to go there to take pictures of the woodwork and the antiques. And they come back with ghosts on camera. Orbs, faces like this. By the way, this face, by the way, a lot of people have compared it to the face of Anna Whaley. Anna Whaley, of course, was
Lived there. Has it been tested by scientists?
this photograph, particular one, has not been tested to my knowledge because it was given to us by the Whaley House. Whether they had it tested or not, I do not know.
Well, I'm going to go there for my next field shoot. I know where I'm going, to the Whaley House. Let's see what we can find.
No, we're not.
Yeah, we're going,
no,
honey.
we're not.
Sure we are.
Thank you, Barry.
Barry, thank you very
You're
much.
welcome.
If you'd like to purchase a copy of California's Most Haunted, go to www.barcon.com, and we'll be right back.
That sounds really
Next.
good. He's seen potato chips being eaten just recently. I don't know what that means. He's just spying on you.
Who's watching her weight from beyond? Find out next.
Who has a father named Jack? Is there someone named Jack or someone here in the audience with the name Jack? Okay, is that your dad's name, Jack, please? And he's passed over? May I come to you, please? And what is your name? Roberta. Roberta, good. Did your dad He's talking to me about not being in the same place that he lived. When he died, he was in a different place.
Yes.
What does that mean?
He was in a convalescent home.
Okay, I was going to say hospital. And he's telling me all he wanted to do was go back home. That's all he wanted to do was go back home. He's told me about a brother, okay?
My brother passed away as well.
I'm sorry?
My brother has passed over.
Okay, well, he's bringing your brother in here with him, and he wants you to know that he met him when he passed over, okay? He's seen potato chips being eaten just recently. I don't know what that means. He's just spying on you.
Probably, because I've been trying to diet and I had some potato chips recently.
Well, he's talking about seeing you eating potato chips recently. It was something about a potato chips thing here. Your father and your brother are getting along wonderfully now, okay? Because in life they couldn't get along really well.
True.
You understand that?
Yep.
I want to talk about having things in the closet, on the first shelf in a closet. I'm not sure if you keep presents up there or that's where you hide your presents.
That's where I hide my presents.
Okay. So weird. Joe's showing me that. Do you have a little girl? Do you have a daughter? And I don't know if her birthday's coming up, you put something up there for her.
I have.
Okay? Because he's just telling me this, all right? When your brother passes over, by the way, I'm very surprised as I pass over, and he comes in shock. There's a shock when he passes over. I feel very unexpected here, and I feel a sudden passing. And also my head is involved here, okay?
His head, he was suffering from chronic headaches and then just went to bed and died. So.
Okay. Oh, interesting. Okay. Not sure if you're in a place where, or you grew up in a place where you go ice skating.
Chicago.
Because, okay, there's an anniversary either just passed. Was it an anniversary of someone's passing that just passed?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
who is this?
actually, my grandfather.
Okay. Okay. Is his wife over there also your grandma?
Yes.
Okay. Which one of them had a problem with the head as far as either Alzheimer's or there was a coma?
Well, at the end, my grandfather had Alzheimer's.
He was not aware of what was going on,
No.
and I feel either Alzheimer's or I feel like just out of it, just really, really out of it. And it's a shame because he's a very smart man, very bright man, and the last thing he wanted to go was his mind, you know? He's a person that wanted something else. And I want to ask you, your mother's still alive, isn't she,
Yes.
please? Your father, Jack, is talking about your mom here, and he wants you to please let her know I'm around, he said. I want to tell you there's something hanging in her kitchen, and it looks like there are words to this. There's a saying in her kitchen that's hanging up, and he's referring to this, okay? It's on the wall. Okay.
I can picture there is something hanging with a saying, and I just can't think of what
It's
the
a
saying
saying.
is.
Maybe on the break, call her and ask her, but I keep on seeing, it's like a little saying or a phrase here, and your father is referring to this. So sweet. And he's telling your mother that this is how he feels or something about this. There's a compassion and there's a love here, okay? All right, I'm going to leave you with that. Okay, sweetie? Thank you. Your father and your brother are getting along wonderfully now, okay? Because in life they couldn't get along really well.
Okay, Roberta, let's just get right into this. Your father and your brother are getting along in spirit, even though they didn't get along on earth. Did you agree? You seem to acknowledge,
Very
yes,
much
that
so.
was true. How so?
They loved each other very much. We were a very close family, and there was a lot of love, but they were very much alike, and so they tend to hit heads quite a bit. Their personalities were so much alike, and so it was nice to know that they were, I'd always had a picture of them together in the spirit world.
He's seen potato chips being eaten just recently. I don't know what that means. He's just spying on you.
Two things came to mind out of that. One was that, I've been so good for 6 weeks, I haven't had a potato chip. And the one time I do, I'm hiding in the corner of my kitchen, and there's my brother watching. And it makes sense to me because he would tease me relentlessly.
I'm not sure if you keep presents up there or that's where you hide your presents.
I think only my husband really knew that I hid gifts up in the closet. So to me, that was very telling that somebody, he would have no way to know. And I don't have that many closets in the house, so I don't know where I'm going to put them now. But I would suspect my daughter watching me do something without my knowing.
It's funny, somebody described some of these readings as like a postcard from the other side. And you're smiling, and it seemed like it was really positive for you.
There's a lot of things I think very reassuring about it. My father was only 25 when his mother passed away. So James had mentioned that he was with his mother, and I know that he would have wanted that because he talked about her endlessly, about what a wonderful person she was and what a good cook she was and what a good baker she was. And so I think it's to know that my grandmother, my father, and my brother are
the whole family,
they're all
hanging
together.
out on the other side. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Many People often ask me how they can get in touch with the spirit world, their loved ones and their guides. The easiest way is through meditation, by quieting the mind and going to the world within you. That's how you begin to go on your path of self-enlightenment. Thank you for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.